This week, the boys dive into the chaos of Gremlins 2 and the ghostly fun of the Frighteners. Do Siskel and Ebert love them or hate them? Find out only on NOMS.
What's up there, nerds?
Well, howdy. Yes, that's right. We can say that because we are nerds, and we are about to nerd out. And why are we about to nerd out, sir?
Because we're NOMS Podcast, which stands
That's
for
right.
Nerding Out.
With...
Matches and Shannon.
That's right. I'm Shannon Rodham Clinton, and here is Matches Abdul-Jabbar. Well, we're going to have some fun today. What is it we do here at NOMS, Matches?
Here at NOMS, thousands of us are starving for Siskel and Ebert reviews. We love Siskel and Ebert. We love them. We want them in our podcast, just like you do. If you just send $5.
I mean, that's one way to make it big. But yes, here at NOMS, as you said, Siskel and Ebert. Now, if you don't know who those two guys are, then you're probably not our age. You're probably younger. But who are Siskel and Ebert, Matt? Just tell the kids.
Siskel and Ebert are the old school players of the critic game from the 70s, 80s, 90s, but not today.
No, not today.
No.
Nonstop. Sadly, both of them are giving thumbs up and thumbs down in heaven. Do you think in heaven they're doing that when people come up? They're like, oh, yeah, your work was okay, but I would have done better.
Do you think Gene really went to heaven?
Not with his reviews. So, yes, Siskel and Ebert, what we do is we watch their old school reviews, we react to them, and 9 times out of 10, it's a movie we've seen, hopefully, and we react to how we felt about the film. Did we like it? Did we love it? Did we hate it? Did we want some more of it? Do we agree with Siskel and Ebert, right?
That's right.
We got a doozy for you tonight. We got a twofer, because what month are we in at this current moment, sir?
Oh, is it October already?
That's right, baby. We're talking about some Halloween spooktacular, and all month long in October, we are going to have some of our favorite horror films, or maybe horror films that we don't love, and we're going to see what Siskel and Ebert thought about it. Their opinion on horror was sometimes kind of all over the place, right?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Gene Siskel didn't love Scream, and I can't cotton with that. I don't know what's up. I can't dig that.
I can't get behind that, no.
What are the movies, Matches? I'll give you a dramatic sound.
All right, they're Gremlins 2, the new batch, and the Frighteners.
Oh, man, two of my favorites. Yes. You know what? When it comes to horror comedy, and we've got 2 great examples tonight, or today, whichever time you're listening, horror comedy is hard to establish because you've got to do a little bit of both.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do one, like Vampire in Brooklyn, like we talked about recently, should have been great. Vampire horror comedy, Eddie Murphy, Wes Craven, Angela Bassett. Sometimes it's hard to balance them. It's like too much comedy.
How did that go wrong? Like, really? We'll have to dissect that movie one day.
We might have to bisect it. I'm pretty sure
we don't fall asleep first, yeah.
But we've got 2 awesome horror comedies for you. Actually, 2 of my personal favorites. And they do have something in common. They were a little disappointing at the box office.
Yeah.
Which one was a little bit more and one was a little bit less. They're both kind of cult hits. One is known a lot more than the other, but they both feature the same actor, don't they?
They do.
In different roles.
They
do.
Have one
That's right.
key feature actor.
That's right. And we can talk about him as we talk about the movie. The time has come.
What time is it, Shannon?
I'm going to tell you, it's not Hammer time. It's time for the Video Movie Corner Pick of the Week. That's right, in the Video Movie Corner Pick of the Week, we tell you, our unlucky viewers and listeners, something that we're into that is most likely after Siskel and Ebert, after their era, so it didn't get reviewed. It is most likely available on streaming, most likely available on video or DVD, or most likely available by your uncle who tells you old movies and says he was in them, and you're like, I don't think that's true, but either way. So what is your Video Movie Corner Pick of the Week this week, Matches?
This week, my Video Movie Corner Pick of the Week is The Empty Man.
The Empty Man.
Have you ever heard of The Empty Man, Shannon?
You know what? I have not. No.
I'll tell you a little bit about it. The Empty Man from 2020 is a supernatural horror film directed by David Pryor. It's based on the graphic novel by Cullen Bunn. It blends elements of psychological horror, crime thriller, and cosmic dread, telling the story of a former cop, James Lasombra, played by James Badge Dell, who investigates the disappearance of a teenage girl. His search leads him to a disturbing urban legend about the Empty Man, a mysterious entity summoned by blowing into a bottle on a bridge. What? The deeper he delves, the more he uncovers a sinister cult and his own connection to the entity. It's wild, Shannon. This guy worked with David Fincher for a long time. He worked on maybe the little behind the scenes and documentaries on the Zodiac and the girl with the dragon tattoo. So back in, I want to say 2017, Fox at the time gave this guy all the money he wanted to do whatever he wanted.
Carte blanche. Okay.
That's right. And what you have is a 2-hour and 17-minute mishmash of horror genre and of different urban legends and things like that about this one entity, the Empty Man, or whatever it is it's going to be. And it's a slow burn, but it's got some really, really good visuals in it. It's got some really, really intense, scary moments. It's wild. I mean, there's like a 22-minute intro of characters you're not going to see again in a place you're never going to go to.
Okay.
It's right for the pickings of like an MST3K movie almost, but it's so good. It doesn't. It's one of those you're going to have to look up a YouTube explainer for afterwards, but you're still going to be like, huh? Because when Disney bought Fox, they were just like, okay, whatever, let's just put it out. And it came out for like a week during the pandemic. So it literally had no chance, but it's got a nice cult following for real, and it's just such a good movie. Roll clip if we have it.
Okay, roll a clip. Ooh, popcorn.
That was a beautiful clip.
I loved it. It brought tears to my eyes.
It was so good.
I was going to think the Empty Man is what they call me at buffets. Look out, it's the Empty Man. He'll never get filmed.
I love it. It's one of my favorites. It's just, it's underrated. It's just not known enough. And I think it should be.
You said the Empty Man can be called forth by, what was it again?
Blowing into a bottle on a bridge.
So all that evil is caused by basically...
Yeah, that's it. It sounds just like that. But it's scarier in the movie, if you can imagine.
No, I could. Sometimes
they do a good job of making it real freaky deaky, I think, and also nonsensical in some places, and sensical in others, and it's a fascinating movie. It really is.
Nice. Okay. So find the Empty Man streaming somewhere. And so now that you've talked about yours sounds like a pretty deep psychological. You said slow burn. Mine is a exciting French film. It's called The Slither. I'm just kidding. Mine is not a slow burn. Mine is a hit you in the face and never stops punching until you're down. It's called Slither from 2006, directed by at the time future Guardians of the Galaxy and DC movie universe rebooter James Gunn. It was one of his early films he directed and wrote and directed. It's called Slither. It's from 2006. That's all I'm going to tell you. I'm kidding. Slither is a horror comedy, which, as you know, is my favorite. And it's basically like it's kind of a take on like 50s, 60s invaders from Mars kind of movie. There is a crazy space slug worm that comes down to Earth in a meteor and unfortunately makes friends with Michael Rooker, one of our favorites, and apparently one of James Gunn's favorites.
That's true. Yeah.
It is true. But I love Michael Rooker. He's great in everything. So Michael Rooker is this, it's a small town called Wheelsy. And Michael Rooker is like probably the richest man in town, the biggest businessman. His name is actually, I kid you not, Grant. And it's funny because at one time, me and your brother worked at a radio station together, and we did a paper. He was the editor du jour, the guru, and I was the lonely plebe who went out and took pictures and wrote stories. And I wrote a review of the movie. And when I wrote Grant, your brother thought, as I am the king of typos, I am terrible. You've seen my text. He thought I had accidentally typed it twice, so it just said businessman Grant. I always thought that was funny. But Grant is the rich man. He gets infected by this parasite. He's married to Elizabeth Banks, who plays a character named Starla. And in this town, it's the few weeks before deer season. Deer season is the big holiday in this town. They love it. They have celebrations. And he starts to get infected. He spreads the infection. I won't spoil what happened. I will say it stars Nathan Fillion, lovable rogue Nathan Fillion. Love him ever since he was on One Life to Live as Kevin. That's right. And he is great. He's the town sheriff. Elizabeth Banks is his sort of ex-love at one time, but she's been married to Grant, and their marriage is not perfect, because he's much older. He's a nice guy before he gets all infected. It's got some great characters in it. Jenna Fisher, who was married to James Gunn at the time, plays the town police dispatcher. And the mayor of the town, I forget the actor that plays him, but he's named after Kurt Russell's two characters from two Carpenter movies, McCready and Jack Dalton from The Thing and Big Trouble in Little China. It's like an honor thing. And it is so funny, and it's so gross, and it's over the top. And it's just, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to spoil it for you, but it is a great, fun movie. And it's kind of dark. It's a little dark, it's fun for the kids. So check out Slither, streaming near you. Or you can come to my house and we can watch the DVD. It's cool.
Sounds great. Thank you, Shannon.
You're welcome. Just kidding. Don't come to my house unless I know you. No offense.
Okay. Not again.
No. Never again. Not at that Super Bowl party with Diddy.
All right, guys, it's time for our movies.
That's right. Welcome back to NPR's MovieCast. Yes, right. It's time for our movies. Dude,
that's right.
I'm so excited about this. Matches, are you afraid of a ghost?
I ain't afraid of no ghosts, but
no,
the truth
you are
is,
not.
I kind of am. No,
I get it. I'm afraid of the band ghost.
Scared.
That's right. It's, dear God, make me a bird. Rock fly far, far, far away. Here in Shannon and Matches land, it's always fun time. And it's time to debut our first movie that Siskel and Ebert will either tear apart, we'll either lavish the love on it, or we'll just go, I'll see you next Tuesday, maybe. What's the name of this movie?
Well, the name of this movie is The Frighteners.
Oh, that's right. The Frighteners, man. 1996. Directed, and what I think might be one of his early first American debuts, directed by New Zealand's own master of the epic sword and monkey movie. That would be Mr. Peter Jackson. Peter Jackson, one of his first American movies. They gave him the reins on this. Produced by Robert Zemeckis, as you could probably tell by looking at it. Music by Danny Elfman. Which helps. Zemeckis has a feel, yeah. Music by Danny Elfman.
It's funny because I heard Michael J. Fox kept ruining takes because he kept calling the judge Doc instead of.
Are you being serious?
Yeah, because he was straight back on Back to the Future with this Robert Zemeckis production. He's like, Doc, we gotta go to the Doc. This is one of those movies that we rented back in the day.
Okay.
I never knew about it before it hit the video shelves, and I saw Michael J. Fox. All these people are in it, and it looks so good. What is this?
You never saw a trailer on TV?
No, I don't think so. I don't remember seeing one. I just remember renting it and being absolutely blown away and delighted, at how good this movie is.
I agree. I was so excited. I saw the trailers. So me and a buddy of mine, we went to the theater to see it, and not a lot of people did. It was kind of a
theater.
I saw it in the theater.
You're so lucky.
Saw it on the big screen. Yeah.
Wow.
And it was pretty awesome. It did not make a lot of money. It was considered a box office bomb. I would say now it's considered a cult classic. Not everybody knows this movie. My wife had vaguely remembered it, and she finally watched it a few weeks ago. And? She said it was okay. And,
that's what we can get at her, I think.
And speaking of, not just Michael J. Fox is in it, one of our favorites that we seem to mention a lot on this podcast, the man, the myth, the reanimator, Mr. Drumroll Matches, Jeffrey Combs. That's
Jeffrey Combs, our boy.
Much like Nicolas Cage. I love that. That was awesome. Much like
the roof.
You were raising the roof. Yeah, that's good. I see a leak. Much like Bruce Campbell and Nicolas Cage, he can give great over-the-top performances. He's in a whole, and much like both of them, he can also be in no-budget and big-budget movies. And he is a great part of this movie. She did agree that Jeffrey Combs, like I always said, feels like he's coming in from another movie. Am I wrong? Is that a good assessment?
Oh yeah, like hardcore through one picture and into this one, and it just rules. He just chews the scenery as much as I've ever seen.
Yes. And saying he's the best part of the movie is not an insult to the movie, because everybody else in the movie is top notch. They're doing their thing.
It's
good, the plot
yeah.
is great. This is a 1996 film, came out during the summer. And Matches, you want to give him a quick plot synopsis of what this movie's about?
Yeah, The Frighteners is about, what would you call him? A ghost exterminator? Does he have a name?
A ghostbuster to the public.
Yeah.
With the ability, way before Haley Joel Osment could, to do what?
See dead people.
See ghosts.
That's right, yeah. And he actually goes in and kind of cons people. I guess he's a little rough around the edges. He's a little bit drunk. He's a little bit messed up. We find out why a little bit later.
Yes, we
do. But he has his ghost friends come in and mess up people's houses, and he pretends like... I like that little bag he has, like the little ghost machine he turns on. And the little bag pops up, and it's a ghost. And that's the funniest thing in the whole movie. But no, not really. This movie, it's funny. There's a lot going on.
It is, and he also uses a gun full of holy water. That's right. He's a con artist. Like, in this movie, ghosts are real, and he is one of the few people who can see them. So, like you said, he has the ghosts go to people's houses, haunt them, tear things up, and he comes and saves the day and basically cons people out of their money. And you think, wow, what a shyster, what a bad character. But like you said, we find out why he's so disheveled later in the movie.
Despite all that, he's still likable. He's still this kinda...
you love him. It's Michael J. Fox. Yeah.
He's got that charisma. He's got the riz, as the kids say.
Which I thought were crackers. And by the way, I text Rocket all the time. I'm like, I'm full of riz. And she's like, no, you're not. Please stop.
Do you really? Yes. That's so good. Oh, I love it.
It's great. So what happens is it goes on the sleepy little town where for the past few years, totally normal, healthy people have been dropping dead of heart attacks.
Yep.
No prior history of anything. They've just been, the health fanatics, they've been dying and they're trying to figure it out. And of course, Frank Bannister goes to funerals and hands out his cards. And so also at the same time, the town is sort of still, I think it was like 30, 40 years before, but they're still kind of dealing with this massacre that happened at a local hospital. Now, let's go see what Siskel and Ebert thought about it, and we'll talk more. I can't wait to see.
The movie starts as a sort of Ghostbusters comedy, turns into a horror film, and ends up as an action picture, and it isn't very good at any one of those things. As it begins, Michael J.
Okay.
Roger.
Really?
Roger
Aloysius Godzilla Ebert. Come on. Seriously?
How are we going to start out like this with the Frighteners?
He basically said that it's a mismatch of different styles and it's not good at any of them. It basically is what he said. That's insane. I mean, okay, the Gore Fest, I don't know if I agree with. This movie could have been PG-13, like a hard PG-13. For some reason, it's rated R. And there are some blood effects. I guess it depends on I think it depends on how, like desensitized you are. But
I would say this is a decent to mid, not bad at all, these things. No. Mid to a little bit better than that, I would say.
Yes. Like
even better.
Oh.
It's going on.
We're rising. We're rising.
See, the Frighteners is up here. Ebert's with it down here. But
started at the bottom, now we're going there.
Maybe we'll meet in the middle by the time.
Maybe Siskel will like it. Let's see what they say. I'm a little worried already.
I had no idea. I didn't know what they were going to say about this, and
because I never saw this episode, so Like I said, the Frighteners kind of came and went at the box office, so either you saw it or you didn't. Let's go. Let's see what they say. Come on, Ebert. Siskel, don't let us down.
Fox is the local Ghostbuster. He gets a lot of business, mainly because he works with three real ghosts who drum up business for him.
Did the bed levitate? Yeah, with me on it.
Shy McBride and Jim Fife play two of Fox's resident ghosts who are trapped between life and death and kill time by scaring victims.
Now, we're gonna scare the living daylights out of your parents. So, come on, kids, you gonna help us out? Are you with us?
Watching this movie, I had one overwhelming feeling. They went to an enormous amount of trouble for very little payoff. The Frighteners was directed by Peter Jackson, who made Heavenly Creatures, that movie about the two young New Zealand girls who become murderers after being seduced by the fantasy world that they create. This movie is a big step back.
Ebert.
I think I'm going to cry.
I think so. I mean, Heavenly Creatures is a good movie, but it's a completely different movie.
Siskel was about to jump in there, and I think he was about to say absolutely. but let's
Wrong.
find out.
Absolutely true. In fact, I really, this picture really bothered me because it was ugly. It was mean. I don't know what Michael J. Fox is doing with his career in this picture. Did he think this was sort of being hip? It was unpleasant to sit through this film.
Folks, it's not pleasant to look at.
No.
It's not interesting to follow. It doesn't go anywhere.
No.
And it's not about anything.
No, it is
it's
a
like
mean
you know what it
picture.
is? Like a demo reel for special effects. You could show this to somebody to show what you could do if you wanted to get a job.
My point is that Michael J. Fox has allied himself previously with good entertainment. This is junk. Coming up next.
Oh! Speaking of junk, come on, really? Absolutely wrong, Siskel and Ebert. I disagree with everything he said. This movie's not like a feel-good, happy movie, but it kind of is. Like, it's kind of fun. It doesn't take itself seriously. It has a fun vibe to it. I don't think it's like drab.
It feels like they're allergic to fun.
I think they are. I mean, it's good horror comedy, and I don't find anything gory about it. I find it very fun, and I don't think there's nothing going on because there's a mystery. There's a mystery happening because, as I was about to say, Michael J. Fox, not only can he see ghosts, suddenly with Trinity Alvarado's husband, he starts seeing numbers in foreheads.
Yeah, and the effects for the time were just out of this world. I think Peter Jackson nailed it.
Yes,
and
at the
even
time
watching on that review, if we showed the clip, that it looked a little cheesy. It looked a little like it might not look very good. But watching it today, it looks fantastic.
I think it holds up. The ghosts look great. John Astin's
Reaper and the ghost. Yeah.
Yes, John Astin. You can see his spine, and it's just okay. I still to this day there's a part where Chi McBride, or is it Chai? Is it Chai or Chi? That's the first time I've ever heard it pronounced.
Shy McBride?
Shy? Is it Shy?
Chi McBride?
Chicago?
I can't remember.
You know what?
I'm sorry, buddy. We love you.
We do. You're great in a whole lot of stuff. You were always the principal in Boston Public, and you'd always go, "You're not going to get fired." That was every episode. That was every episode. But back to this movie. So Chi or whatever his name is, and the other ghost, the nerd ghost, they're holding up a mummy to distract so Michael J. Fox can get away from the police who are after him because he is suspected of these murders suddenly all of a sudden. And all they see is the mummy, so they shoot the mummy falls down, and Chi McBride says,
"She's so beautiful." Something like that.
She was so young and beautiful.
That was it. She was so young and beautiful.
And if nothing else that my wife enjoyed this movie, that made her crack up.
Really?
Because to this day, I still say things like, "I'm like, she was so young and beautiful." So
When's the last time you watched this movie, Shannon?
You really want to know?
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Oh, really?
I got it running right now on my television. I won't show you.
Okay. I thought it might be like 5 years ago, 6, 7, 10 years ago.
No. I don't know why.
You said that memory though. You would know all of this, even if...
I mean, it's true. I do have a pretty good. There are movies I've seen one time that I'm like 95%. Like I'm pretty sure that's right.
Yeah.
But that's because I got nothing else going upstairs, people. Don't be like me. Don't.
No, you used to tell us like, "Oh, that guy in the background there."
I know.
He was in this movie and that movie.
I used to bug you guys a lot with that. I'm so sorry. Like, oh, see that guy in the X-Files holding the body?
No, you'd be talking during the movie and telling us all these facts and stuff, and we'd be like, "Okay, catch us up on what we missed while you were talking," and you would catch us up on what we missed while you were talking. It's incredible.
And the thing is, I was listening and watching, and I can listen and watch at the same time and talk. That's the funny thing, but nobody else. Yeah. My wife does that. She's like, "I'm going to pause it, and you can say what you want to say, and then we'll go back."
Nice.
And it's a good
She's got it down.
This movie is great to me. I love this movie. I don't know why I don't have it on VHS or DVD or Blu-ray, because it is literally one of my favorite movies. I don't know about top 10, top 20.
I feel like I owned it at one time, maybe. I can't remember, but
yeah.
I feel like
it had the hologram on the VHS. You remember that? You'd move it, and the face would go.
Oh, it's very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is a kind of a heartwarming and sad story about the filming of this movie. Dee Wallace Stone, as I said, was a legend, and the stone was added from her husband. She was just Dee Wallace for a long time. Then she was Dee Wallace Stone. Now, later she was Dee Wallace again, and I thought, oh, she got divorced, Well, what had happened was she was going to New Zealand to film the movie, and her husband was taking care of their daughter in America. Her husband got really sick. She flew back, and he said, "Hey, I know this movie means a lot to you. This will help take your mind off it. Go film the movie." So she goes back to New Zealand, and the husband dies, sadly, of like heart stuff. It's so sad. So she goes back to America, and Peter Jackson's like, "You go do what you need to do. We'll do shoots without you. It's okay." That's when New Zealand Peyton Jackson. He goes, we'll do sheets for that you. And he says, you do what you got to do. You take care of your family. So she decides the best thing for her to do is to film this movie to get her mind off this and to help heal. So she brings her daughter and her daughter's nanny to New Zealand. They moved there for a little bit temporarily to film the movie. The whole time the studio has been paying for her airfare with the promise that she would pay it back. The studio's like, you're going to pay us back, right? You're going to pay us back. So she's like, crap, I'm not going to make anything on this movie, but at least, it's paid for. She gets to pay it at the end of the movie, finds out Peter Jackson paid for all the airfare. Paid for serious? All of the expenses. That's how awesome. That is how great Peter Jackson is. Not only is he a brilliant director with a great eye for detail, he's a brilliant human being.
He needs to go back to horror and horror comedy, though. Yeah. Straight back. After The Hobbit, come on.
Yeah, that's a misstep. But I like The Lovely Bones, and I loved King Kong.
Oh, that's right. Lovely Bones, yep. King Kong was fun. Yeah.
Maybe he needs to make a big budget version of Three's Company. I'd watch it.
Yeah, I'd watch it. Yeah.
So, the Frighteners matches to wrap it up. What did you think about it?
Oh, it's fantastic. All the way through. I saw it last year, I think.
Yeah.
Not even a year ago, I think. And it still holds up, and I watch it every few years at least. Yeah.
Every time it's on any streaming network, like it's on Peacock right now, I watch it. It's fun.
It's there. It's like, oh, I've got to turn that on. Like, that's what's going to happen right now.
It's a fun movie. I would definitely recommend it. I completely disagree with Siskel Ebert.
Absolutely,
they were harsh.
Yeah, they had not one nice thing to say about the whole movie.
Like
I don't believe that one bit. No, I
disagree. Because it's a mystery. No. Bad Siskel.
No.
Bad Ebert. No more reviewing for you. Matches, as you know, I have been trying to come up with the theme song, and last episode I thought I had it. I thought it was great. I thought it was epic. I thought it was Kool-Aid Man. Oh yeah! But I think I found something better. I got a new theme song I'd like to test out with you, if you will.
Okay.
You will.
Yeah,
I'll let you know. It's a little, cool little hippity hop, totally original melody. I came up with this on my own. I will say that I can't live a normal life. I was raised by the streets. Are you ready? Here's what I need you to do. Oh, you sound like you're ready.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. So listen. That's awesome. I love this. So what I need you to do one time is go do 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 do.
Uh-oh.
Come on, you know.
All right.
Do 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 do. 1, 2, 3 into the 4. Matches in. Shannon are knocking at your door. Ready to get a listen, so come on in, because it's time for the show to begin. Give me the microphone first, and I can check the reverb. We're hanging with the homies, Siskel and Ebert, because it ain't nothing but a NOMS thing, baby. 2 film buffs joking, going crazy. Godfather 3 and Dick Tracy. And don't forget about Martin Scorsese. And there you go. It's okay. It's okay. If you want to pick up your jaw.
It was all right.
Okay, I'm out.
It's fine. Yeah, we'll get it next week. It's fine.
I guess you're right.
Yeah. It's okay. You tried.
It's fine. It's fine. I worked on that for 2 months.
Yeah. Rub some dirt in it. Gremlins 2, buddy.
Are you excited? Hey, let me ask you this. How bright is your light? You have a bright light?
It's probably too bright, but that's okay.
Do you have any water next to you?
Cola.
Okay, and have you eaten, and what time is it where you are?
Well, it's 8:30 p.m., so why?
Well, I'm just saying, never get them wet. They hate sunlight. And never feed them after midnight. Because what happens to the Mogwai? They turn into...
Gremlins.
Gremlins, that's right, boys.
Or die, depending on what you've done to them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, never feed them after midnight. Can you cut their leg off? Do they regrow? They're like, no.
What happened if you fed them after midnight?
What if you eat them?
Wait, because if they get wet, they turn into Mogwai. If they eat after midnight, do they turn into Gremlins?
Yes, that's what happens. They multiply when they get wet.
Yeah,
that's right. We'll talk about that. But Gremlins 2, the new batch, is what we are talking about today. Siskel and Ebert. I'm gonna go ahead and guess they probably hated it, but I don't know. Because I know Ebert,
yeah, same.
Yeah, Ebert loved Gremlins. Let's talk about Gremlins for just a split second, matches. Let's talk about Gremlins. Come on, it's a feel-good Christmas movie. Some people watch it for Christmas. It's sitting there at Christmas.
It's pure Spielberg magic.
It is. It's produced by Spielberg, directed by the legendary Joe Dante. And
written by Chris Columbus. Yeah.
That's right. In between discovering America, he was writing great movies. And Gremlins was a great movie of our childhood because here's the funny thing: like it was pushed for children as being children friendly because there were tons of toys, tons of kids memorabilia, and then the movie comes out and parents are like, "What have I brought my child to?"
Yeah,
yeah. It was because it was violent, but because at the time there was only the PG and the R, and because of the violence and because of some of the themes, they're like, we got to make it PG-13. Gremlins is like, my parents didn't hate it, but yeah, and I'll be honest with you, man, the image of the Gremlins scared the teetotal heck out of me when I was a kid before I saw the movie.
Yeah. I was more scared of other stuff, but I think I was scared of the Gremlins. Yeah, I loved the little Mogwai. I loved him. Gizmo's a treasure. Yeah,
as played by America's sweetheart Howie Mandel.
We were allowed to see it, I guess, at some point on video, probably.
Yeah. I saw it on video like 3-4 years later, finally, and I was like, "This movie's great." What was I scared of? You know?
Yeah, I was about 5-6 when it came out, and then 12 when the new batch came out. I think so.
1990, yes.
I think those are good ages for those movies. I think
they are.
Yeah.
And it's so the Gremlins are basically there's a Mogwai creature, a little furry creature, kind of looks like a pre-Furby, and if you get him wet, he multiplies, and sunlight kills them. Bright light they don't like, and if you feed them after midnight, they turn into mischievous little gremlins, which are they turn the town of Bedford Falls upside down, and a few people die, like Miss Deagle.
Yep.
Yeah. Fun fact about Miss Deagle: do you know that was Flo from Alice?
Oh, was it really?
The last words she said were "kiss my grits."
Kiss my grits. Did she really?
Yeah, and you know what? She was my age when she filmed that movie as Miss Deagle.
Are you serious?
I'm not kidding. I ain't telling you how old.
At least she said "kiss my grits." That's.
No, she didn't. That would be great if she did. She didn't say "kiss my grits."
Dang, come on.
Shut up. So Gremlins 1 was great. So they decide years later, studio, of course, it made a lot of money. It's a classic. We got to make a sequel. So they asked Joe Dante to do it. And what does Joe Dante say?
He says he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to work with puppets for the next year after doing that.
Well, and he also thought the story was complete.
Yeah, he felt the story was complete. So the studio was off trying to make Gremlins 2 from the offset of Gremlins. Like they were off and running trying to do it, couldn't get it to work. And so finally, I think the head of the studio or one of the producers came up to him in the cafeteria out on the lot or wherever they were and just said, "Hey, will you just do Gremlins 2 for us? We'll give you anything you want." You know, they had a huge budget compared to the first movie. Say 50 million as opposed to 11 million.
I will say it looks, I don't mean to be rude to Gremlins. It looks 10 times better than Gremlins. Like the puppets.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And so he said he could do whatever he wanted to, and that was it. So
and Joe Dante, and what he wanted to do was make a satire of sequels, make a satire of his movie. Like you said, didn't he want to satirize the audience? He's while the first one is fun and funny, you know, it's a little bit more darker, a little more horror based kind of. And this one, like, he wanted to make basically anarchy is what he wanted to make. And to me, it's like a big live action cartoon. Which is
it's a Looney Tune.
Yeah. And I'm gonna say yes. Speaking of, did you know that there's Looney Tunes at the beginning, Bugs and Daffy? And it was longer in the theater, and people were like, did I come to see a cartoon or a live action film? So they cut some of them.
Oh, yeah. They got the writer of those Looney Tunes from back then out of retirement. His name was Chuck, I think. Like Chuck Jones, maybe?
I think it would, maybe, yeah.
Out of retirement to do that, yeah.
Yes. And that's what set the tone. He said he wanted to set the tone for the anarchy that was to come. And it's so much fun, this movie. It is so great. Yeah.
Well, I remember back then coming out of it, just loving it, the gags and the funniness and the different scenes and stuff like that. I loved it, but I was also at the same time a bit disappointed.
Okay.
And I couldn't put my finger on it at the time.
And
you know,
have you figured it out?
I was young. I needed the money. I don't know, like seeing it now and knowing what went on behind the scenes, it makes it a better movie, I think.
Yeah.
Like, if you're just going to it and you're expecting the original Gremlins, you're not going to get that at all.
No.
Like,
it's like he took the toys from the Gremlins and he threw them in the car wash and then the blender.
Yeah, he did. He
And
just
it's great.
took those toys and
There's
did what
so
he
many,
wanted.
There's so many ideas going through here. A lot of sequels you could joke are always, they go, if they make a movie, they make a sequel. What do they do in the sequel? They go to the big city.
Yeah, and they did that in this. Yeah,
Gremlins so in the city. And let's see what Siskel Ebert talked about. Let's see if they liked it or hated it, and we'll go into a little bit more detail, but not a whole lot.
Sounds good.
Called Gremlins 2, The New Batch. Here's a sequel that really suffers because it is so repetitive. Now with the original film, so much as with itself. All that's holding the action together is a slight parody of the entrepreneurial world of a billionaire developer modeled after Donald Trump and Ted Turner.
Poor Gizmo.
I really enjoyed the first Gremlins movie. It was funny and also had some music to it that seemed to be funny as well. But this new picture is just too frantic for my taste. The Donald Trump jokes and the Ted Turner jokes start to wear thin, and once you've seen one Gremlin create a mess, it isn't really a whole lot funnier to see 100 Gremlins doing the same thing.
I completely agree with you. It seems to me that the Gremlins in the first movie were better made. But in this movie, they look constantly, they just look like dolls that you could kind of, that would be pushed in the shots or propped up in front of the camera or something. In the first movie, I really had the illusion that they were genuine little creatures instead of simply props.
What do you think, Sharon?
Well, I can see what they're saying, because there are a lot of people who love Gremlins and hated Gremlins too. There are friends of mine, they're like, oh, it's just so over the top and a big cartoon. And I was like, yeah, exactly. That's why I like it. And honestly,
things that are coming out of your mouth sound good, but you're saying that they're bad.
Right. And I see why they're saying that. I get it, But like you said, it's a satire, because there's this part, where he's in the control room. They show that clip where everybody is like kind of making fun of Billy because he's trying to warn them. And they do the same questions that people have, like, well, what if he's on like a flight to a time zone and he eats at 11, but then it's midnight?
Yeah.
Or what if he's got food stuck in his teeth? And it's like, don't try to put logic in it.
Yeah. That's so good. I love it.
It is great. It makes fun of itself. That building has everything. It's got a shopping mall. It's got a restaurant. It's got a movie theater. It's got Leonard Maltin, apparently. Within this building, there is a genetics lab headed by horror legend and Star Wars legend, Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee. Yes.
And metal legend.
Oh, that's not untrue. Tell him about that real quick. Metal legend.
He was in a metal band back then.
He was, yes, he was awesome.
Good time. He's fantastic. I heard the first time that he met Joe Dante on the set, he apologized profusely for being in the sequel to The Howling, because Joe originally directed The Howling. He didn't direct the sequel. It was very bad.
It was subtitled "Your Sister's a Werewolf."
Yeah, and Joe Dante didn't even remember that he was in that movie, so it's all good.
Yeah. So in this genetics lab, the Gremlins who've already turned into Gremlins, and by the way, Gizmo gets multiplied because he gets hit by water by what actor?
John Astin.
In a very small cameo as a clumsy janitor.
Yeah, he was in Frighteners 2, and he's in this, and I never noticed it before, but Gizmo gives a little Gomez right when he shows up. I had to rewind it just to catch it. I was like, did he say Gomez? He did say Gomez. But John Astin. But I like when John Glover talks about what is it? Picardo,
Robert Picardo,
security guy.
Yeah,
his security guy. He's great.
He's good at playing like people you hate. But go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, he's amazing.
Yes,
and he says. He talks about the genetics lab, and he's like, yeah, that could have been, what was it, 2 law offices and a plastic surgeon, something like that.
That's funny. So
I knew that was a bad idea.
Yeah, it probably was because of the genetics lab. The Gremlins break in, and they take all these different genetic things. One becomes a spider. One turns into all vegetables. Right?
I love Vegetable Man. Oh.
I know. One becomes full lightning, and one, of course, becomes able to talk and smart with glasses. That
the brain.
In the book, he's called Glasses.
Really?
Yes, and I'll tell that story real quick in a second. But yes, and he's voiced by the director of Hellraiser 2, Tony Randall.
Well, no, the other one. You were right last week with this one. It was Tony Randall from The Odd Couple.
The beloved Tony Randall. I know, he makes him sound so smart. And so he ends up...
I know he did more than just The Odd Couple, I'm just saying.
No, he did way more than The Odd Couple. Tony Randall. But yeah, so he's a legend. So yeah, so all these Gremlins turn into different crazy gremlins. One gets injected with something that makes him impervious to sunlight, which is scary. And he gets bat wings, and he flies out, and he runs into actor Dick Miller, who was in the first movie, and you thought he got plowed by a snowplow. Turns out he lived, but he's got severe PTSD. Right. He whoops the script.
He doesn't know if it was real or if it really happened.
Exactly. So they all
he sees it coming.
Yes, he knows, and he gets over his PTSD. And Billy's telling Clamp how to stop him and what to do, and there's just so much anarchy going on, and there are great in jokes.
I don't know if you noticed, but the actors in the background aren't doing anything. They're not reacting or anything. It was kind of like the old joke, like New Yorkers wouldn't care whatever's going on. They're just standing there talking. Like
that is the old joke, like
on purpose.
What was that? A naked guy on roller skates? I gotta go to work.
Yeah, they're just standing there talking or walking down the street. It's so funny.
That is kind of funny. I know, because the gremlin with bat wings flies down, and they're just like, Tuesday.
There's chaos. There really is, but not with the actors. No,
that's hilarious. So I got to say, there's some great little in jokes in this movie. Leonard Maltin, the other reviewer, I think he was on Entertainment Tonight and other shows. He hated Gremlins 1, and he said it was icky and yucky. So they brought him in to play himself, where he reviewed. It's very meta. He reviewed the Gremlins movie, and then the Gremlins beat him up, and he's like, 10. It's a 10. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, that's true. And he actually gave Gremlins the New Batch 3 out of 4 stars. So.
Yes, he did. Yeah. And there's also this great in joke in the first movie. Phoebe Cates tells this horrible story while they're trapped about finding her dad in the chimney dressed as Santa Claus. Days after Christmas, they thought he ran off. So that was a controversial part of the movie. But in Gremlins 2, someone says something about Abraham Lincoln's birthday. And she's like, Lincoln's birthday? Oh my gosh, did I ever tell you why I hate Lincoln's birthday? And she starts to tell the story, and somebody goes, we don't have time.
Yeah, he said, "Oh, honey, come here." And then she's being led off. Like, I didn't realize what that was from. I forgot about that because I haven't seen Gremlins since the 90s, really.
Yeah.
Like maybe the 80s.
Oh wow, I watch it every year with my wife. She loves it, the original.
Really?
I don't think she feels the same way about the second one that I do. So, does Siskel Ebert have anything else to say about that? Because I got something to say about the theatrical version. Let's do this.
That's right. Let's go.
The movie began with this little fake cartoon that starts out like it's going to be a Bugs Bunny cartoon, and then Daffy Duck comes in, and they fight over who's going to get the top billing, and they finally decide that because they can't both be in the same cartoon, they might as well start the movie. I would have liked to have seen the whole cartoon. Yeah, that annoyed me. If you're going to set up a cartoon, you got to deliver the cartoon.
Well, it didn't test well.
No, I think we need to take it back to the lab one more time. Yeah, no, what they're saying is true. They are products, but I think that was the point.
Yeah, that's the point of the movie. They didn't know that back then. We didn't know that back then. No. We got a lot of it, but I didn't get half of it, I'm sure. Like, watching it this week was just the joy of my life. It was so good.
So they didn't like it.
They didn't like it.
It's not for everybody.
They were passionate about how much they didn't like it this time.
Yes. Well, what's funny is, again, we'll say it was a satire and a reaction to the first movie. I got a quick story to tell you. You know how we talked previously about movies, like when they come out, there's a book adaptation sometimes? And sometimes in the book, they will change up things. Like, I don't remember that in the movie, right? So in the book, the brain takes over the book because he says, in this part, in the movie, there's a brilliant part where the film starts to break. So people in the theater thought the film was broken. Turns out it's the Gremlins messing with the projector that's showing the movie, and they're like, making puppets, and they put on this kind of naughty sunbathing film.
It's an old skin flick, actually.
It's an old skin flick, yeah. And a mom comes out to Paul Bartel, who's an usher, and she's like, can't you, you did it to us again. We just wanted to watch a nice family-friendly movie. And so what happens is Paul Bartel goes in, and who's watching the movie? Hulk Hogan. And Hulk Hogan basically rips his shirt off and says, you better listen, little Gremlinites. So the movie comes back on. Now, in the book, Glasses, as he's referred to, talks about that moment. So I hadn't seen the movie yet. So when I rented it on video, I was like, I can't wait to see Hulk Hogan smash. And, no, that didn't happen. On the home video, it was totally different. They decided instead to do where the Gremlins broke into the TV studio and were flipping channels and were going around. And then it turns out John Wayne, the real John Wayne, who had been dead, he's voiced by another actor, shoots them and says, all right, let's restart the movie, Pilgrim. So they do a video version. So if you saw it in the theater, you saw Hulk Hogan in a movie theater and at home. And a real quick...
We saw it in the theater back then, yeah.
Okay, so you saw Hulk Hogan save the day?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed. It wasn't until I bought the DVD that it was restored and you can watch both scenes. But here's the funny thing. There's a little fun fact that involves our state. I didn't know this till today. I found out. In that scene where they're flipping channels, it shows the channel 11. That's THV from Little Rock. From 1990. Really? That is the actual credits of the channel. Yeah.
That's insane.
Go back and see it. I think it says THV. Wow. THV. There you go.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
But yeah, cool. No, it's great. So that's a great part. And that's why reading the book messed me up. Because in the book, Glasses was like, I don't like being called Glasses. Apparently he had put the author of the book in a closet. So, all right, Siskel Ebert didn't love it. People today still don't love it. And then people like me loved it from the beginning. And I think it gets like, I mean, maybe
we haven't had luck with them liking our movies lately.
No. Little Key and Peele probably watched this and had ideas for future sketches.
Oh yeah, that's true. Like, what was I saw something on that today, and I mean, Joe Dante loved it and said that's kind of exactly how it went down.
It's like people were just throwing things at the wall, and they weren't pulling.
If you haven't seen the Key and Peele sketch about the making of Gremlins 2 in the writer's room, you have to go and watch it right now. It is so funny. It's so good. I love this very much.
Oh, yeah. And we would be remiss if we didn't mention Sexy Gremlin. You know what
Greta.
I'm talking about. Did she have a name? Was it just Sexy Gremlin?
Yeah, she had a name. It was Greta Gremlin. Yes! Yeah, she drank some kind of concoction that was that had a boy-girl symbol on it put together or whatever. But, I mean, the Gremlins are...
She becomes the first hot lady Gremlin.
Asexual. They're neither boys nor girls, but she becomes a girl Gremlin. Yeah. We're not going to dissect it.
Yeah, that's a whole other podcast. But yeah.
But she latches on to Picardo.
She chases Robert Picardo, who has hair in this movie. I don't know if that was real or not, because I've seen him bald and
I don't know. He's always been bald to us. Yeah,
he's great.
But, it looked good. He had the perfect hair, the perfect suit on. He was very clean the whole time.
He was great in another Joe Dante movie that I love called Inner Space. Well, sci-fi comedy.
Oh, Inner Space. I forgot he did Inner Space.
Dennis Quaid.
And the Explorers.
Yes, Explorers. Can't forget that. Maybe he was in that one too.
Yeah.
But yeah, and we got to tell him about the end when he finally she corners him. Like all the other Gremlins are gone. She corners him, and you remember he was like,
he's covered in kisses, right? Like,
yes, and he finally
in the bathroom, and she comes up in a wedding dress, going, and she gets closer and closer, and his face is classic. I don't even know if I can do it, but he's just like,
try it.
And then just slide down. I'm just gonna take it. Like,
does he be gentle, or I can't remember if he says anything.
Oh, no, I don't think so. I think he's just kind of like, okay.
Let me see if I can do it. He's like, he's like, okay.
Kind of. No, let's roll that clip. Oh, the two twins. They're Lewis and Clark. Also, two of the Gremlins are Lenny and George.
I know there's one that's got big teeth. It's like
the bucktooth is Lenny, and the stern one that looks like an actor I can't picture or a character I can't picture. The stern-looking one, he's George. I love it. Yeah. And so the two twins that were in Terminator 2. Yes. You might remember them. Yes, they were in like some background characters in the 90s and stuff. Like, but they played really good parts as Lewis and Clark, the redheaded. I guess they're like assistant scientists in the lab.
And they would complete each other's sentences.
To Christopher Lee's Dr. Catheter.
Yes, his name is Dr. Catheter.
Yeah,
if you weren't
they played Lewis and Clark, and they were just so funny. I think when they started dancing with, they're smiling when Gizmo's dancing to that song.
We would be remiss if we didn't talk about how Gizmo, like, inspired by the Rambo movies, like gets some chutzpah and decides I ain't taking this
he watched Rambo at the very beginning,
yes.
And at the end they push him a little too far, and he gets a little bandana.
Oh
yeah, get a bandana. He turned a paperclip into a bow and arrow.
Yes,
they put a rubber band on it and that kind of thing. And I love it when Phoebe's like, "What happened to him?" And Billy's like, "I don't know. I guess they just pushed him too far."
Before we go, matches. Is there a gremlin that they should have had that they didn't? They had an electricity gremlin. They had a smart one. They had a vegetable gremlin.
Yeah, they had the mice and men gremlin.
One was a spider.
Oh, Daffy, man. Daffy was great. He was such a sweetie.
That's not the one with the teeth.
No, he's the one with googly
Oh
eyes.
yeah,
That's what it was.
the eyes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
It was kind of a goofy one too, but he wasn't Lenny. He was Daffy. So
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I
So
love him. But what else did they have? They had, everything. They didn't have a dog gremlin. They didn't have a xenomorph gremlin. They didn't have a, let's see. They didn't have a Mary Poppins gremlin.
They
They
did
didn't
not.
have a duck gremlin. They didn't
President
have
Gremlin, yeah.
a President Trump gremlin. They didn't have oh gosh, what's that last one I was thinking of?
A gremlin that doubles as a slip and slide. That's what I would do. So,
Three
final
gremlins
thoughts.
in a trench coat.
Oh, yes, yes. Oh, hey, fun joke in the
Thank
movie
you.
theater. Apparently, the gremlins took over and they said they wanted to watch Snow White. We'll call back to the first one.
Oh,
So-
yeah, the film projectionist came
Yes,
down and said
yes,
that.
yes,
Yeah, he's
So-
they only want to watch Snow White from the first movie. So.
Final
Oh, I
thoughts.
was going to say, Multiverses has both Stripe and Gizmo in it, and they're going
Ooh.
to add Brain soon.
Yes.
I saw this because one of the writers of the movie, I think it's Christopher Haas,
Okay.
he's actually going to voice the Brain in
Nice,
2024.
because the late Tony Randall is
or
no longer with us.
Multiverses, yeah. So,
awesome.
yeah.
I gave Gremlins 2 the new batch 2 clamps up. I got it as a kid. I get it now. It's fun. It's a huge cartoon. What about you, Matches?
I got it a little bit there as a kid, and I get it completely now. So I'm going to give Gremlins 2 just 2 electricity gremlins.
Nice. That was
Yeah,
Gremlins
you-
2, the new batch.
Shannon, what are you doing?
I don't care how you got your sister on the ceiling fan. Get her off. I'm fine. How are you? I'm not doing anything. What?
Whoa.
What? Why are you looking so
You have
weird?
something on your head.
I have something in my head.
It
What
says
is it? Like
45. What is
it's kind of
45?
a burning thing. I don't know. Something feels weird. A score of 45. I don't think I have long, so we better take this down a notch. I have a number on my
Oh
forehead.
gosh.
I
Yeah,
have
you
a number on
do.
my forehead.
Yeah.
This is, oh my gosh. This is weird. Okay, well, I hope you had a good time tonight, kiddos. Yeah, because I think we learned a little about life and love, right?
Yeah, we did for sure. I know I did.
Totally did. We learned about how to use ghosts right. We learned what kind of gremlin you want, and you can have it, whichever.
Oh yeah.
We also learned that Jeffrey Combs, as always, is excellent.
He is excellent. Yeah, that's right. We learned all this on NOMS podcast. What's the name of it, Shannon?
It's called NOMS Podcast. With...
NOMS podcast.
Mhm.
Matches
Which
and
stands for
Shannon.
That's right. Matches and Shannon.
I guess.
That's us.
I don't know. Are we
Could
nerding
be.
out with Matches and Shannon? We could be.
We're still
Could
going to
not
work
be.
it, but I think it stands for No Ordinary Morons. But whatever. I like that.
If you made it this far, be sure to like and subscribe.
And how
If
would
you
they
want
go
to.
about doing that, Matches?
Just clicking at the bottom of the thing there on YouTube. Just click like, and then you click the subscribe button if you want to. You don't have to.
Yeah. They don't
It's
have
fine.
they don't have a tentative button. It's always like or dislike. They don't have like a.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right, bye, Shannon.
Bye, Matches.
Have fun.
Got a score 45.
Nom nom nom.
Nom nom nom.